So first of all, congratulations on the film. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, what makes the internet the perfect setting for the sequel?
I think because it's such a big, expansive world. You know, the arcade in the first film, it was really a story of a love letter to the arcade world, something we all grew up with as kids. But the internet is so big, it's so vast, and it really is pervasive in our world right now. I mean, it really is a key element of how we all live every single day. So for me, what I love in animation is how do we bring a world to life that you've never thought about? So in the first one, it was what happens in an arcade game once the arcade closes. In this world, it's like, how does the internet actually work? When you go online and you use your mouse and your arrows moving around, what's actually happening inside the internet? And for us, we get to now show you what that world is like.
When you're doing your research about the internet, is there something that you came across that really surprised you?
You know, it's interesting. We get to work on these incredible films. I got to work on Zootopia. So for a research trip on Zootopia, we go to Africa, right? We're going to study animals. But when you're going to do the internet, it's not quite as amazing in terms of the place you're going to go. But we went to this place called One Wilshire Boulevard. It's a building in downtown Los Angeles. And it's actually where all internet communication from North America comes in. And it's a building filled with wires and boxes. So on the surface, it seems kind of not that interesting. But it started to open our eyes to what the actual internet might look like, and it started to really feel like a big, massive city with these wires and constant moving things, and that kind of gave us a visual for what this world could be.
Right. I never actually looked at it like that, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, usually an animated film takes about 2 to 3 years at least in the making, so and the internet is constantly changing, so how did the team make sure to keep that in mind?
You know, that was probably one of the hardest things, which is in the beginning we said to ourselves, well, we got to make a nod to everything we know about the internet. But then you start to realize, well, that'll date it really quickly. Like if you watch this film in 2 years even, it will feel very dated because whatever is very hot on the internet now isn't necessarily the same in 2 years. So we said, let's make the storytelling be the most important element and let everything else kind of fall to the side of it. That way the storytelling will never age itself because it's a story that every generation can understand. And so that was really one of the key elements. And it was hard because it's very easy to go to the comedy of what's hot and happening on the internet right now. So we had to always say to ourselves, no, don't get attracted to that. Focus on the story.
Were there any jokes or memes that had to be removed because they were too dated?
Well, in the beginning, it was that case, right, where we were putting memes and ideas in there that felt dated. So then we moved to the concept of, well, let's not be an exact homage to specific things. Let's let it be general. So if you take an idea like epic fails, that's probably something that will always exist on the internet, but we don't have to do a specific epic fail that everyone knows so well today. That way we'll help not date ourselves.
Right. What did John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman bring to this process of creating the sequel?
They're so great. They know these characters so well. So when they come in to record the voices, and they actually record together, which is pretty unusual in animation. You usually record your actors separately because your schedules don't line up, but they like to record together. They look at the scene and they develop it with us. I mean, they really look at it and say, does every line feel like it's part of their character? And they're really good at challenging us to make sure that it feels like it's the character that they know so well. And then, you know, they're so funny. But they're great emotion. I think that's the thing that's going to really blow people away in Ralph Breaks the Internet is the story itself is so emotional, and what John C. Reilly and Sarah bring to it is incredible. I think the audience is going to.
So what actually does break the internet? How does Ralph do it?
Well, I don't want to give all the secrets away, but it is a story about two kids from a small town arcade who go to the big city. One falls in love with it. For Penelope, it's this amazing world, and she can't imagine leaving it. For Ralph, all he wants to do is go back to the safety of the arcade, and so he's going to have a dilemma, which is how do I make her want to come back? And maybe the way to get her to come back is to make the internet go away.
Right. And there are good and bad sides to the internet, but how does the film make sure that there's a conversation starter for kids as well as families?
You know, that's a really great question. When we made Zootopia, we really saw the ability to create a story that gives the opportunity for parents and kids to talk about something. In that case, it was about bias. In this case, you're right, the internet has these amazing things about it, the ability to connect the world, but on the other side of it, there's dark sides to the internet. And so we did dive deep into a couple of areas of the internet where the comments as an idea in general, where we can have the opportunity to give parents to talk to their kids about, you know, the internet has great things, but be careful about these parts of it. These parts that are anonymous, that might be judgmental, give them the opportunity to talk about that. That was really one of the great opportunities of the film.
That's interesting. Thank you so much for chatting with us, and I can't wait to watch the film.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.